You've seen ECB continuing to cut sharply. Swiss National Bank is at zero, right? BOE is they cut, but they're really following the same playbook as the Fed. They haven't cut further, right? And that kind of is a good sign, right? BOA seems very anchored. They've
They're following
tethered
what
their
we're
cart
doing.
to
Yep.
the US's horse very closely, is what it looks like in my point of view. But you've seen pressure on Trump. Like I'm gonna uh, not just continue to harass this guy to lower rates, but you're now talking about right nominating his replacement with like 10 or 11 months to go in his term, which expires next May.
Right.
So this could happen over the next, I would say 2 to 3 months, where you already have the chair nominated in place, and you would have this talking head going out in market saying what he or she would
It's like a
do
lame
in
duck
rates policy.
owl in the
Yeah,
meantime.
so you've got actual policy, and then you've got shadow policy of, hey, here's what things are going to look like starting next May for markets to respond to. All right, what bond markets are saying, right, and these are, as you think about it, what's involved in Treasury prices, right? It's real growth plus inflation expectations is what this would amount to, right? You've seen Treasury yields rally over the last month, right? And that's kind of confirming, if you will, like the slowing of the growth cycle, not just globally, but also the US. So the US domestic market specifically. Now, if you think about like what's going on, what are the key events over the next, I would say, not just 2 months, but next 1 month, right? It's this one big beautiful bill passing Congress and Senate and making it to the president's desk for signing. And so you start to look at that. When is that likely to come through? This is, the poly market prediction chart. You've got a 90% chance that it gets done by August 31, 86% chance. These are just market pricing where these are trading. 86% it comes through by end of July, and then 72%. So roughly 3 times out of 4, it'll be done by the 4th of July, right? So this has to happen, one way or the other. Or the U.S. government is going to need to continue running a budget because just where the debt ceiling is at, and federal deficits, the Treasury is going to have to increase the debt limit to continue operations, because we're not going to let the thing default, right? But as we head into that, you start looking at, all right, what needs to happen. You construct this in such a way that you manufacture lower interest rates, because right, if you look at what these rate cuts, even the 100 bips of cuts we got in Q3 and Q4 of last year held steady for the last 6 months. Those 100 bips actually reduced the debt service or interest expense for the U.S. Treasury significantly. Now, another 100 bips of cuts are also going to, deliver a similar just cost savings from the U.S. Treasury's perspective. And just because of the fiscal considerations, where we are with the debt problem, it's not a if but a when, right? We have to get cuts. President's serious about this. Like, it's not just for um, his own good. Like, he wants to pump his real estate bags, or make the stock market go to the moon, like that type of stuff. Like, sure, but from the debt standpoint, like it's a necessity. It has to happen. So the question is when, right? Well, you have to, if we go back to the Treasury curve, what's actually going on? To get those cuts, you have to time this up, the order of operations, right? Pass the one big beautiful bill, then cut rates. Then you start to see the full steepening of the yield curve as the front end comes in, where you see that first hump of the kind of the square root or check mark sign. That comes down, and then you start to see, like, we don't know where the long end, or how that develops.